Good day, BC Lions fans. Matt Baker here, Senior Manager, Communications and Content for the club. Busy day, and it's a great honor to be sitting down with the 17th General Manager in Lions history, Ryan Rigmaiden, with us here. And, well, sir, congratulations again, and welcome aboard. How's it feel so far?
It's a little surreal. Thank you for having me. I didn't know I was 17th, so that's great. Yeah, it feels terrific.
So there's obviously a lot of items at the top of your list, just like any new person coming into the position, but a bit of a unique situation. I want to go back to something you said in the press conference. It's no secret you've had opportunities elsewhere, Montreal, Edmonton, I think even Ottawa at one point, and you said this is where you wanted it to happen for you. Just explain that and how special that is.
Yeah, this is where I got my first start. So 14 years ago, came up from Spokane, Washington in the arena leagues and started doing regional scouting here and then worked my way up. So I've always had an affinity for this team and for this club. And you know, if it was going to happen anywhere, I wanted it to be here. Did have some opportunities elsewhere, but the fit here is most important for me. And so it was an easy decision.
Yeah, 2013, your first stint, U.S. scouting, stint with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers before you came back here in 2021. How did that work out for you way back 11 years ago, becoming a member of the BC Lions for the first time?
Yeah, it was interesting. There was a guy named Jeff Smith, who was a former NFL scout who was doing scouting here in BC. I was the GM of the Spokane Shock. Jeff was retiring, and I bumped into him on the road all the time. And so we became friends, and I think he pulled me aside one day and said, "Hey, I think I might be shutting it down here soon. Would you ever have interest doing that?" Of course, I said, yeah. As the GM with Spokane, I was able to send up a few players up here that performed really, really well. And so I'd already had a relationship with Neil. I think he and I talked for 2 or 3 years over the phone before I even met him. Got that job, got the West Coast scouting job there while I was still in Spokane, and kept moving forward. So I think 2 or 3 years later, Wally had hired me as director and just kept moving up. And so again, it's special because the people here, the time I've spent here, the region, me being a Spokane guy, everything about this fit is something that I love.
Yeah, expand on that a little bit. Any young scout personnel guy coming in, having a guy like Wally Buono in the organization showing you the ropes, how great was that for you?
It was a tremendous learning experience. I remember sitting in that office, in Wally's office, sitting in the chair in front of him. And I think after maybe the first or second year, I'd said, Wally, I really would like to be a GM in this league one day. Would you mind, throughout the course of our relationship, if I asked you about ideas and you could teach me things? And he said, great. He said, prove yourself. And so I approached every day with, hey, I'd like to do this one day, and just stayed motivated and obviously had the passion for it. Wally was never a pull you aside and here's what I want you to learn type of guy. He was I'm going to watch him, and then I'm going to ask him some direct questions and he'll give me some feedback. And so you learn by watching one of the greatest to ever do it. And so between him and Neil, I had some incredible teachers and was lucky enough to go to Winnipeg when I did and work with great people like Ted Gavaya and Danny McManus and Mike O'Shea. In this business, you have to be a sponge and soak up as much knowledge as you possibly can. And so I carry that everywhere.
Glad you mentioned Neil, of course. Neil McAvoy, officially today the vice president of football operations. You and him are going to form this alliance, this tandem, and just being able to still work alongside him, that has to be beneficial for you as well, right?
Yeah, and it's something, frankly, that if he wasn't here, the fit wouldn't have been as great for me. He and I've worked hand in hand for 11 years, I think, all in. I think Dwayne jokes that he's the yin to my yang, or vice versa. So we're very different people. We handle things in a very different way, but I think we're at our best when we're working with each other. And so I think the club benefits from that.
I'm going to backtrack a bit. As I mentioned, you went to Winnipeg in between. You mentioned the likes of Ted Gavaya, Danny McManus, Mike O'Shea. How beneficial was that to your career trajectory to go to another organization and see how things are done?
I think it's important it doesn't matter if it's scouting, football, business, I think getting out of where you grow up in and learning what another team or business or whatever it might be, learning their ways, I think helps you. You shouldn't make a habit of bouncing around too much, at least that's the goal. But to see how the BC Lions did it for different coaches and GMs, and then go over to Winnipeg and see how they do it, you learn very valuable lessons. And so it was important. It was important for my development. And lucky enough, we were fortunate to win there in 2019. And then obviously they've had great success since.
Absolutely. Just played in their 5th consecutive Grey Cup. That's the standard everyone wants to get to, and it's no different here. All right, couple of important items at your list here, the top of your list. Head coach. I mean, it's a tough day too here, right? Said goodbye to Rick Campbell after 4 seasons and played a big role in getting this franchise back to contender status. First off, your thoughts on that and the process for hiring a new head coach here.
Yeah, it's a bittersweet day. I love Rick Campbell. I don't think there's anybody in this building that's going to say they don't have a good opinion of Rick. He's a Spokane guy, I'm a Spokane guy. We've got a lot in common. And so it's bittersweet in the sense that we're saying goodbye to him today, and then obviously we're moving forward with Neil and myself today. So finding the next head coach is maybe the most important thing that we do. And so that person, that leader, has to set the tone for everybody else in the building. And so we're going to get through this with an extreme vetting process, and we need to do the best job we can to bring in the best leader here. And that moving forward, I think above anything else that we do, is going to be the most important.
All right, how many phone calls have you gotten for VA in the last 3 hours?
There's been a couple. There's a couple of texts, and yeah, we'll see what that market is. That's maybe the next most important thing that we're going to have to do.
Yeah, and obviously it's a unique situation with the return of Nathan Rourke about halfway through the season, I guess it was, and not an easy thing to do to move on from a guy like Vernon, right? But just talk about how difficult that would be.
Yeah, I mean it is. I think I've known VA since he's 19 years old. He became one of the greatest quarterbacks in Eastern Washington history. And so watching him grow up, and then early in his career here in this league, struggled a little bit, bounced around, and then came here and then just truly blossomed. And so as an evaluator, it's so nice to see the player become who you think they were going to be, especially with Jordan McSimic and the offense that we have here. So saying goodbye to him is a very, very difficult thing. We have Nathan. We're very familiar with him and couldn't be happier to have him. And we're going to move forward with Nathan. But saying goodbye to BA is never going to be easy.
Yeah, in retrospect, maybe some people expecting Nathan to get right back to that 2022 form. Maybe a lot to ask, and we saw firsthand. But how excited are you to have him in the fold, being here from day one? It's going to be beneficial for him to be in training camp and have some time to learn and relearn and establish some chemistry with the receivers and everything. Safe to say you're confident that will bode well for him?
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan's, I think, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, if not the best. What he did in 2022 was absolutely amazing. I don't think anybody's seen that for quite a long time. So our goal is to get him back to playing at that level. Coming in, whether it's a GM or a head coach, whatever position you're going to be taking, you want to know on a football team you've got a capable quarterback. So Nathan is not only a great quarterback, he's a tremendous player. His work ethic is absolutely unmatched. The things that he's gone through over the last couple of years with 4 NFL teams and playbooks, and the fact that we brought him in on 4 days notice and he ended up playing against Winnipeg. Yeah. I don't know any other quarterback that could do that. And so are we happy moving forward with Nathan? Yeah, we feel like we're in a good spot.
And a lot of people don't realize what it was. We were on the bus in Edmonton. It was a Sunday game going to Commonwealth, and the news comes that Nathan Rourke has been cut by Atlanta. And I think it happened so quick. He was in the building here on the Tuesday morning, and starting against Winnipeg of all teams on the Sunday, I think it was. So no shortage of free agents to get done, and you're already started prioritizing who to keep and everything. What's that process like? How do you whittle down your list as far as priorities as far as keeping guys?
Yeah, you've got to find out who your core guys are. And luckily, I've been with this team now for 4 years in a row after coming back from Winnipeg. So we know this roster very, very well. The big factor in this is having our head coach come in and also decide on that too, because some players don't fit certain schemes. So it needs to be a conversation. Collectively, we have to make a choice of who do we bring back, who do we restructure, and then, the downside of this business is who do we maybe say goodbye to.
Shifting to kind of the lighter side of things here, we've known you're a family man, wife and 16-year-old daughter. How supportive have they been through your journey?
Absolutely tremendous. So I think I alluded to in the press conference here, but for a coach or a scout, for football wives and football families, I think the biggest thing that they have a hard adjustment is you're just not there. And so conservatively, I'm gone 120 days a year, sometimes 150, depending on what your schedule is. And so for them to have a husband and a father not be there for that long, I think it's an incredible adjustment. Now, luckily, Megan's been going through it for a while, and so she's used to it. I think it was a little harder for my daughter when she was younger. Now she understands, and frankly, she's 16 now. She's got her own stuff going on, and I am less cool by the minute with her. So she is fine with me being out of the house, and I'll be up here 6 months out of the year now, but the other 6 months will be traveling and back home with the family.
My daughter's 5. Everyone warns me there's going to be a day soon that she's not going to want to have anything to do with me. So
it will happen sooner than you can possibly imagine.
Don't have to tell you how much it flies. Sticking with the family theme, growing up, parents, role models, who inspired you along the way to pursue careers in football?
Yeah, my mom was fantastic. Always told me to go out and achieve whatever I could. I fell in love with football in the '85 Super Bowl, the Bears. And so from then on, loved the game. I graduated high school as a 5'8", 145-pound senior that wasn't very good, especially in a wing T offense, so I knew I wasn't going to be playing much. But I was always fascinated by the strategy of the game and why teams were good and why teams weren't good. So I still have copies of NFL mock drafts of when I was 16 and 17 years old. So I always had a great support system. My family was always go out and achieve whatever you possibly can. It was never just one person, although my mom was fantastic.
If Ryan Rigmaiden isn't busy doing football duty, what's he most likely doing?
I am probably riding motorcycles. I love ADV motorcycling. Been doing that for 7 or 8 years now. Absolutely love it. Love getting out into the woods, camping, fishing, hiking, all those things. So
the outdoor aspect, is that just typical for someone who grew up in the state of Washington,
yeah, I think
particularly
so.
Eastern Washington?
Yeah, I think that was kind of a Spokane thing, and so the outdoors were always a part of it. A lot of lakes over there, a lot of boating, fishing, camping with my dad. There were always those things.
Excellent. Well, what else, give you the floor to wrap this up. Any messages to the Lions fans there watching, how excited you are?
Yeah, judge us what we do on the football field. I love this staff that we have here. I love the people. I love the culture. The coach that we bring in, whoever that's going to be, is going to set the tone for this franchise moving forward. So I couldn't be happier to be here. Again, this franchise especially is where I wanted to be. And so to be the general manager here after a long time, hoping to get something like this is very, very special.
There you go. The work has already begun. Ryan Rigmaiden, BC Lions general manager. Congratulations again.
Appreciate it. You bet.